Our next speaker is Christine Miles, who is co-founder of CI Squared, a leadership and sales training company, author of The Art of the Nudge, Unlocking Your Potential, and is an authority in emotional intelligence to drive results. Welcome, Christine.
Would you ever have imagined that 25 years ago we'd live in a world where we have technology that provides us instant answers to almost anything, anytime, anywhere? Just think about it. What are celebrities up to? How to put that pivot table into an Excel spreadsheet? Or how about when you're sitting around the table with friends debating the name of a song or what year a movie came out and who's right? The press of a button or a simple voice command, and we have our answers. But I have two questions for you. Is this technology literally being at our fingertips? Is it interfering with your ability to emotionally connect with the people in your life? Is it distracting you from your ability to relate on a human-to-human level? I believe the answer is yes. So I'm going to share with you how to be curious about people and how to connect to gain insight. The Carnegie Institute of Technology reports that 85% of financial success is due to human engineering and the ability to communicate, negotiate, and lead, while only 15% is due to technical competency. Over and over again, the emotional skills are proven to be the differentiator to success. Now, it's touted that the millennial generation is fundamentally lacking these human skills. But my question is, are they really the only generation suffering? Aren't we all losing our ability to connect on a human-to-human level and losing these skills to connect and understand people and be curious? And what is it costing you, or what is it costing your business? Are you aware that 2/3 of employees would rather have a new boss than a raise this year? That only 13% of customers believe their salespeople can help them understand their needs and be trusted? And one of the main reasons leaders fail is due to poor interpersonal skills. When I was a little girl, I had a mother who was very funny, very warm, very caring. And often, I thought the outside world must think her life is perfect. To my embarrassment, and really to my embarrassment very often, my mother would share with people that there was much more going on with her than what they saw on the surface. She had a story of pain and loneliness and loss. She lost her mother, actually, from being born. And I remember one time, I was probably about 7 years old. I was sitting in the pediatrician's office, and my mom struck up a conversation with a woman and very quickly started telling her her detailed story of how she was born into a motherless world. I became acutely aware at an early age that my mother craved understanding and connection to alleviate her isolation. These experiences had a profound effect on me, and I'm really grateful to my mother for it, because what I learned is not just my mother, but it is a fundamental human need for people to feel seen and understood. It's why I went into the field of psychology, and it's why I've devoted my career to understanding and wondering if people like you have ever felt like my mother, misunderstood, not seen, not heard, or if perhaps inadvertently people like you have made somebody feel that way. Curiosity is defined as the urge you feel to know something. Now, we know this urge very well. We look at our phones, and we get that quick fix like a drug that Google provides us with instant gratification, providing instant answers. But answers in our human-to-human interactions, answers that have real depth, take more than just a click of a button. It takes emotional intelligence. Now, I've been in the profession for 30 years of helping people develop the emotional skills in order to learn how to connect, to be more successful, not only personally, but in their business lives. And here's what I've learned. People simply don't know how to do it. Why? Because we're not taught. We're not taught how to be curious, we're not taught how to connect, and we're not taught how to understand. A few months ago, I was conducting a workshop for a sales team to help them understand and gain insights into their customers. And I gave the participants a homework assignment. I said, go home and gather a story from a loved one. The next day, one of the participants, a man named Jeffrey, about 30 years old, started to share the results of the assignment and how he tried to gather a story from his nephew, who was 11 years old. I asked Jeffrey, how did this go? How did the assignment go? He said, well, Christine, it actually didn't go very well. And he was in a room full of his colleagues, so he was sharing the story. I said, it didn't go well. Well, why don't you take us back to the beginning? And he said, well, I asked my nephew how his day was, and he told me it wasn't very good. And so I asked him why. And he said, well, I didn't get the basketball shoes I wanted. And Jeffrey said, okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And then the conversation halted, he said. He kind of got stuck. He sensed that something more was going on, but he wasn't sure what it was, and he wasn't sure where to go next. Have you ever had that experience where you're talking with someone and you sense something more is going on with your customer or a person in your life, and you just don't know how to get the answer? Wouldn't it be great if we could just look at our phone, hit the button, say to Google, now what should I say? All right. So how do you enact curiosity? And how do you connect with people when your needs and your time is competing with the technology that's in front of you? I'm going to show you a simple tool, how to ignite your curiosity with just 6 simple questions. You ready? Okay. Question 1. First question, take me back to the beginning. Why is that such an important question? Well, have you ever walked into a movie late? And you go, where am I? I'm lost. I'm disoriented. Where am I in the story? The same is true when you're gathering a story from someone you care about. You're literally watching a mini movie of their life. And sometimes they start in the middle, not at the beginning. So take me back to the beginning actually gets you the context of the story. The second question, tell me more. Tell me more is an open-ended question that allows the story to go in the direction the teller gives it to you, rather than you shaping the story with all your questions. How about that? Have you ever had that experience when someone's asking you a lot of questions and you're thinking, this has nothing to do with what I'm trying to say or communicate? It's frustrating. We call that becoming a defense attorney, where the listener is trying to shape the story to prove their case, rather than let the story unfold like a curious detective with a gentle nudge. Question 3, then what happened? Another open-ended question that allows the story to unfold and for you to become a curious detective, discovering the story that lies below the surface. Question 4, now pay attention. This is probably a question you're not asking enough, and one that is a game changer. How does that make you feel? This is a question that allows you to discover not just the facts of the story, but how the person's feeling and how they're affected. Are you asking people in your personal life, or how about your business life? Are you asking your customers how they feel? Let's face it, if you ask Alexa, hey, how do you feel, Alexa? She says, I don't understand the question, right? But people need to feel and feel felt. It's a primal human need, and it's what makes us human. The 5th question, Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, that's not a question. Well, it's not a literal question, but what it indicates is that you're present and that you're encouraging the person to tell their story, nudging them along. Pay attention. When you are listening well, or someone's listening well to you, you will hear, The 6th and final question. It sounds like you felt. Hey, it sounds like you feel frustrated, or you feel excited, or you feel angry. Acknowledging someone's emotions by reflecting them, validating their feelings, it actually alleviates the isolation and creates the connection. Now, here's the key to using these 6 questions. You don't have to ask these questions in any particular order, but you do have to ask these questions and only these 6 questions so you don't become the defense attorney. So where did we leave off with Jeffrey and his nephew? Did he ever really get the story? He was frustrated, he was stuck, he didn't know what else to say. So I said to Jeffrey, why don't you tell us more? He said, well, I started to ask these 6 questions that we learned about in the workshop, Christine. He said, so I said to my nephew, well, you didn't get the basketball shoes you want. How does that make you feel? And his nephew said, what makes me mad? He said, well, it sounds like you feel angry. Why don't you take me back to the beginning? He said, well, my dad promised me the basketball shoes. He said, tell me more. Well, my dad breaks a lot of promises. So then he said, well, then what happened? Now, at this point, the room is in tears and mesmerized by Jeffrey. And he said, what happened next was really astounding, Christine. I had a game-changing experience with my nephew. The conversation started about the fact that he didn't get basketball shoes, but it turned into a conversation about how his dad isn't around anymore since his parents divorced, and how he feels sad that his dad breaks a lot of promises and he can't count on him anymore. And then what Jeff said to me and to the room was pretty profound. He said, what I learned from this exercise and using these 6 questions is that when you gather a story well and really listen, it's never really about the shoes. It's always about something bigger. Curiosity is defined as the urge you feel to know something. These 6 questions ignite your curiosity to create connection and meaning in your conversations. This is a relationship tool. This is a business tool to help you gain insight. What if you as a leader use these 6 questions to find out what's going on with your employees? Or a salesperson to figure out what was going on with your customers and really understand their challenges? Now I want you to imagine a world where we have a technology without a press of a button, we can figure out the answers. But we also have a curiosity tool that enables you to emotionally connect with people in your life to help them feel seen and heard and understood. This is the world I want to live in. I'm certainly hoping it's not going to take us 25 years to get there. So I encourage you, go out and try this curiosity tool. Go home tonight, gather a story from a loved one or from a customer or an employee. Use these 6 questions and only these 6 questions. Sit back, listen, and watch what happens next. Thank you.
I just heard Christine Miles talk about her curiosity tool, and I was blown away. As a business leader, I need to use these 6 questions. I wrote them all down. I absolutely will use them. And I cannot wait to read The Art of the Nudge.
Christine just did an outstanding job. She did 2 things for me. First of all, she gave me some information, and she also reinforced many of the ideas that I already had. This whole thing about this technology, I agree totally with what she was saying, but those 6 questions that she gave us was just super and so on point. I'm going to use them. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine last night, and we were talking about this very thing. We see these kids sitting in the car, side by side, texting each other. I mean, I just can't believe that. But these 6 questions will help to open things up, get them to know each other, and find out what's going on with people in the world. And better than that, they will learn their social skills and become better able to communicate with one another.
I do so much work with organizations, and I believe that our ability to connect with each other is so important, and I love that she gave us the 6 questions from her curiosity tool. I think those are so helpful.